Hi everyone, welcome. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to another lesson in our ongoing French course. In this lesson, we're going to look at the verb voyager. We did look at it earlier in the course. We're going to take a look at it again because we are looking at verbs with certain spelling changes. So we're almost finished with all of these different types of verbs in the present tense. Voyager belongs to a category of a small group of verbs that have just one simple spelling change, and I'll show you a list of those verbs towards the end. But first, let's voyage into the past and take a look at the verb voyager. Where does it come from? Well, it's from the French word voyage, and you're probably familiar with the expression bon voyage, have a good trip. So the word voyage itself is derived from the late Latin word viaticum, which meant a journey. So viaticum in Latin is from the word via. It goes back to the word via, which meant a road. So you can think of viaticum is, in a sense, a trip down the road or a journey. So the verb voyager is a regular ER verb in the present tense. You'll use those endings that you know so well. The only trick is there's one small spelling change in the conjugation. So let's go ahead and do the magic here. Remember, to begin conjugating, you have to find your root or your stem, which is done by removing the ER from the infinitive. So I have my root here, and all I have to do is add my ending to that, and I have the conjugated verb. So I travel would be je voyage, je voyage, I travel. Tu, we start with our root, add the ending, es, and we have tu voyages, you travel, you travel. Il, elle, on share the same form. So I add my ending, which is the same as the je ending. So we have voyage. Il voyage, he travels. Elle voyage, she travels. On voyage, one travels. Nous. We start with our root, and this is where we have the spelling change. It's actually a letter that is added in. So for nous, think about it. For nous, you normally add ONS, which is what we are going to do. But if we were to do that, GO is pronounced go, and we want to avoid that sound. So in order to avoid that sound, we add in an E before we add the ONS. So that's to preserve the je sound. So nous voyageons, we travel. If I didn't add the EN, then you would have GONS, which would be gon. And we don't say nous voyagons, we say voyageons. So to preserve that sound, we add the E. And that's it. Vous. We start with our root, and you add the EZ ending. Vous voyagez, you travel. Il, elle, start with the root, and add the ENT. Il voyage, elle voyage, they travel. And there you have it, the verb voyager in the present tense with just this one minor spelling change. So let's go ahead and take a look at some examples. So I'll quiz you here, see if you can guess the French before I tell it to you. So we'll start with one that's very simple. I travel, or I'm traveling. This can also be I do travel. Remember, present tense is very powerful. I travel, I do travel, I am traveling. In French, this is je voyage. I travel, je voyage. How about this? Let's add in the word often. How would you say in French, I travel often? I travel often. So we start off with our subject and verb, je voyage, and often is the word souvent. Je voyage souvent. I travel often. Je voyage souvent. So how about a little curveball here? I know you're up to the challenge. How about I like to travel? I like to travel. Remember the verb to like, aimer. So I like is j'aime, j'aime. And then to travel, remember here in this construction, you don't conjugate the verb travel. You just leave it as an infinitive. So all I have to do is just add in voyager, and I have j'aime voyager. And then, of course, to make everything correct here, we need to capitalize. So we have, I like to travel. J'aime voyager. J'aime voyager. I like to travel. Let's go back to the present tense of voyager. He travels a lot. How would you say he travels a lot? So let's start off with he travels. Il voyage. And remember, a lot is beaucoup. So put it all together. Il voyage beaucoup. He travels a lot. How about this one? We want to travel. So another little bit of a curveball here. Remember the verb to want, vouloir. So we want to conjugate want in the present tense. We want. So nous voulons. Nous voulons. We want. And again, this is an infinitive. So in this construction, in French, we also use an infinitive. We just use the infinitive voyager. So put it all together, and you have nous voulons voyager. Nous voulons voyager. We want to travel. Okay, did you do well on this little quiz section? I hope you did. I'm sure you did. If you didn't, go back, try it again, this part of the video, see if you can guess all the answers before I show them to you. When you can do that, you are really learning French. So to finish up, I'd just like to show you some other verbs that are similar to voyager, that have the same spelling change. Remember that it only happens in the nous form in the present tense. And this is good vocabulary for you to know anyway. So the verb manger, to eat, will also have that spelling change where you actually add the E in. To share, partager, partager. To swim, very important verb, nager. Of course, this is the verb we just did, voyager. Another important verb, the verb ranger, to tidy up or to put away. For example, if you need to tidy up your house, put things away, we use the verb ranger to express that idea. Other verbs with this same spelling change, changer, to change, corriger, to correct, déranger, to disturb or to bother, engager, to hire, as in hire someone, an employee, mélanger, to mix, and then the verb exiger, to demand, envisager, to plan, interroger, to interrogate. You'll hear this a lot in the news. Obliger, to oblige or to force. And finally, plonger, to dive, as in when you're swimming. Okay, well, that's it for this lesson. Thanks so much for watching. If you found it helpful, I would appreciate it very much if you'd give it a like. Subscribers, thank you so much for your support. To keep learning French, click on a video that appears here on your screen. See you soon. À bientôt.